Hello, welcome to Who's On Next, the podcast where we talk about my crippling fear of microphones. Ah! Today I have with me a man who is known for a plethora of things: his streaming, his Twitter presence, his YouTube presence. It is SaltyDKDan.
Hello. I'm so enthralled sounding. Oh my god.
The what?
Sorry, it's been a day.
What happened? What
It's not
happened
a long
to
day.
you?
It's a day. I mean, actually, nothing much. I just I actually woke up very early today.
So how early is early for you? Like actually early, or like not like 11 o'clock in the morning?
Well, at the time that this is being recorded right now, I'm no longer in college. I just finished up my classes a few weeks ago, and because of college, like obviously many people would understand this, you sometimes stay up pretty late working, and because deadlines are always so close, and there's no time to do them because you're doing schoolwork during the day, you're doing schoolwork at night, the whole shebang. So I've been kind of trying to like redo my sleep schedule in a sense. So when I was back doing college stuff, I would wake up at like 12 p.m. To like 1 or 2 p.m. like 2 p.m. like the latest, I would say. But now I'm trying to reset my sleep schedule, so I start waking up at 7, which is cool. So I'm glad that all the people listening right now get to hear the really interesting part of my life, my sleep schedule. I'm sure people would love hearing about more of it. I think that we should do the whole podcast about this.
I have thought about that before, like as a joke. I even talked to my friend Chrissy last night about it, where like, imagine doing a podcast where you get like a really notable person and you only talk about like one thing.
I have a question. Which Chrissy are you talking about?
Keyframe.
Because I was gonna say it's Keyframe. Chrissy's super cool. I love Chrissy.
She's like one of my best friends.
She's so freaking nice.
Yes.
She's such a great artist.
That is
yeah.
We are going to shell out Chrissy right now at Cosmic Keyframe on Twitter.
She's so freaking cool. she actually she got me a last minute internship at DA Games.
Yeah, no, I remember she told me about that.
Yeah. I forgot my last semester in college. I needed an internship to graduate, and I like it was like 2 days before the semester started, and I was like, I need an internship now. Do I have any mutuals that need interns? I will literally I will suck dick for an internship right now. And Chrissy was just like, yo, intern for us, and I was like, alright, epic. And so that's what I did for my last semester. I interned for the Baldies Don't Eat Ass in the Halls guys.
The first person I ever had on this podcast was Will.
Really?
Yeah, it was Will.
It was Will?
Well, because I've been friends with Will for like 7 years. 7 years now. Like, so I knew he'd do it. Like, that's the thing. Like, I knew he'd be open to do it, and also it was if I can be selfish for a second, it was a safe bet that I knew it would get a fair amount of attention if I got Will. So,
understandably so. I hope that you're ready for all 3 views on this podcast that we're recording right now.
Okay, that you know for a fact it's gonna be more than 3. It's gonna be at least 5.
I was gonna say, maybe more like 5. If you're lucky, 6.
It's like, I remember, like, you say that, like, you had to get an internship. I remember, like, one of the last projects I had to do was, I don't even remember what class it was. We had to interview someone, and it specifically had to be someone with a military background for a paper. Like, we had to do a whole interview, and we had to ask them these 5 specific questions, and we had to it had to be at least a 45-minute interview. And for like 2 days, I was like, shit, I don't know anybody. Like, I don't know anybody with a military background. And then I remembered, like, I think 3 days before it was due, I was like, oh shit, my brother-in-law. Like, I completely forgot almost that my brother-in-law was in the military at one point.
I know that like in college, they're pretty big on like networking and stuff like that, but I don't think that they've ever asked me to like network with people like outside of the thing I want to do. So like I don't understand why they'd be like, yeah, interview a military person. You know how to network. Like, what do you mean? Like,
Do you just automatically
how,
assume that because I network, I can get fucking anybody? Like,
the way that I network these days is just through memes, which is like really weird, like in retrospect, because like you go to college and they make such a big deal about networking and how you have to be professional. You got to make friends in the industry and stuff. And nowadays, I just go on Twitter and I make just a really, really solid meme. And and I'm just and then suddenly I'm able to talk to more important people than I would have otherwise.
well,
You
it's like
know?
I've fucking like in the past 5 years, like since I moved out here, not to the West Coast. I wish I'm on the East Coast. So it's one of those things where I've met so many people just just through other people, not even like doing things. Like as a voice actor, you would think like, oh well, you get a shit ton of connections if you're a voice actor. True, but I've met more people just entering Discord chats. Like I've met more big
Oh
people
yeah.
just through other people than I have met big people through my job. Like
I remember like when my stuff on YouTube really started to like gain some traction. I don't know if I want to say gain some traction because it makes it sound like I'm a bigger deal than I am.
fucking
But like
5 million subscribers over here.
yeah, a big old YouTube Gold, YouTube Premium boy over here. But like when my videos started getting like a decently sized viewership, like I remember people started reaching out to me and being like, "Hey, we have like a Discord for YouTubers." And at the time I was like, "Yo, that sounds epic." And networking on there and just I don't even want to call it networking because I just in general it kind of felt like an after school club. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
like a bunch of people that are like you that are into making like videos and like voice acting, all of a sudden like there's like this group of people that you kind of have access to that are all into the same sort of stuff, so it's just kind of cool to talk to the people and just make friends. uh but yeah, no, like I definitely the same as you. Like I've met a lot of people just through Discord and Twitter,
Well,
which is so
yeah.
strange.
Yeah, it's like I remember like me and you just met because of Twitter. Like
Yes.
that was just one, and I think I distinctly remember you used to like you liked several of my tweets over a period of time. And I think like one day you did this tweet like 2 or 3 years ago and you were like, hey, who are some like comment on this and I'll follow you. And I like jokingly commented on it and you were like, oh fuck, I thought I was following you. Like something like that. Like that's the thing. And there are some people I make a fuck ton of connections through one person. Like one singular person. Like I interviewed my buddy Dave Capdeville, and because of that, we were chatting after the interview was over, and now I'm in like a friend server of his, and I've become friends with so many fucking cool people. Like there's so many people from Has Been involved in there. Like there's
I
so many fucking nice people in there. Has Been, there's some like different like gaming people in there, animators. There's so many cool people in there, and it's just one guy. Like just one
yeah,
guy. I met like 20 cool people.
I don't want to speak for you on this, but it definitely feels like you know like that feeling of like imposter syndrome almost
Oh yeah,
when you
no, I've
join a
had that.
Discord or you have somebody follow you that's like way like you see that and you see that
Every
Discord
time.
filled with people that you're invited to, and everyone there just seems so out of your league that
Yes.
when you join voice chat, you're just like, yeah, so I made like a thing once, I guess, but like
Yeah.
you guys are bit too I feel like I shouldn't be able to talk in here.
I kind of got over that after I joined the Pizza Party podcast because of
Same
Nolan.
here, yeah.
Because of Nolan. Because when Nolan added me to that, I don't remember if I like jokingly asked or something, and then I got added to that animation server, which is where I first spoke to you, like in a call for the first time with Kevin.
I'm a big fan of that animation server, by the way.
With Kevin,
I really
Nick,
like
and Leah and all those people.
I love all those peeps.
Yeah,
they're so nice.
They're all fantastic. I just remember I was in a call there once, and Nolan would always fucking get on me for this. I would be like, there's so many cool people here, and I don't do anything. Like, I don't do anything on the level of these people. And I think Nolan just would keep getting on me to the point he was just like, I can just remove you if you want. And I'm like, no, I'm good. It's like,
yeah, it's just one of those things where it's kind of almost nut up or shut up,
Yeah.
where like I'm a big fan, and I've said this before, I think, online, but I'm a really big fan of the statement or just kind of the mentality of fake it until you make it. I've been faking it so hard that people actually think that I'm deserving of some sort of accolade, which I'm not. I'm just a guy that made an internet presence for himself of just shit posting and memes, and I don't even know what I do on YouTube anymore. Like, people say, "Oh, you're a gaming YouTuber," and I'm like, "Am I?
Am I?
I don't really know what I am at this point."
Yeah,
well, I'm just a guy that fucks around.
Before I did this fucking podcast, like, I had no clue what I wanted to do because I have so many voice actor friends. And I'll see him do like shit posts and memes. Like PM Seymour has this thing where he goes through Tumblr memes and he does these like little joke readings and stuff like that. And they'll just do all this really creative, funny shit. Or they'll find this really funny shit and they'll just do these videos. And I'll be like, I should do that. And then I never do it. Like, I never, and to this day, I'm still kind of like that. Like, I need to do voice acting memes, and I need to do more stuff with voiceover, and I need to do these things, and I never do it. Yeah. I never do it. I have been needing to make a new demo for 5 years, and I've told myself I need to every time, and I never do.
Yeah, I was the same way. Like, I think a lot of my initial success, like on Twitter or YouTube, was when I went through my shit posting phase, which I think a lot of people go through when it comes to internet stuff, where a bunch of people will just like essentially make their Twitter account a stomping ground for like quick memes that they could just edit together. Like especially voice actors. I know there's a lot of voice actors, like you said, that do joke readings and stuff like that.
They do they come up with creative little voice acting sketches. I'm like, and they're so fucking funny. And meanwhile, I see those and I'm like, I wish I was funny enough to come up with that shit. Like,
yeah, it's definitely very interesting, the kind of because like I love stuff like that. I do, and it's very clear that a lot of people on the internet love stuff like that. I feel like it's almost a launching point for a lot of people's internet careers. Like, I mean, speak of like Pro ZD, like, like he was super huge on Tumblr for the longest time.
Well, and then he was on Vine
for doing those joke readings.
And then he was on Vine and he got fucking huge. And now he's doing a ton of shit. Like,
legitimately, it's so strange to see people's careers. Like, I'm not gonna devalue his voice acting career because by saying what I'm about to say, because I know that memes or not, Pro ZD, that dude would have an amazing career no matter what. And I'm fucking happy for him because he's really talented and seems like a really nice dude. But like, definitely it's kind of interesting to see somebody really pop off on the internet thanks to just memes and shit posting.
Well, yeah, I mean, to be fair, you've done a lot of that shit too. And I honestly, I got a lot of my Twitter following from shit posts, but also what like I'm ashamed to admit this, and I've said this before. In like 2017, 2016, I figured out the Twitter algorithm. I learned that the Tumblr algorithm and the Twitter algorithm work very eerily similar. And if something blows up on Tumblr, most likely it will blow up on Twitter. And there were
Yes,
some things,
similar audiences.
there were some like animation clips that people would post from cartoons or shit like that. And I am ashamed to admit I did steal some of those and put those on Twitter, and they got a fuck ton of attention. Like,
Yeah.
after a while, like, you realize that the algorithm works so fucking close to how Tumblr works, and I decided to test it, and I don't remember what it was. I think it was something from Billy and Mandy. I took like a clip from Billy and Mandy that I saw on Tumblr, and I just put it on Twitter, and it blew the fuck up. And from there, I think for like 2 months, I took all these animation clips and I would just put them on Twitter. I became basically Trayfon, the Rise and Fall of Nick. I became that account for a period of time.
Oh yeah.
And I'm ashamed to admit I did that, because I feel bad, because like I look back on some of that and I'm like, I basically just rigged the system because I knew it would get attention. Like,
I mean, like, on a reflection of that, like sometimes I do that, mostly on like modern shit, where if I'm watching like something or I'm like watching some new show, sometimes I'll clip stuff from it and post it on Twitter and be like, "Yo, look at this funny thing." But for the most part, I've never really just like blatantly reposted clips. I don't think.
well, like,
I
'cause
think for the most part, usually I just
shit.
pretend like I do, but I don't.
Yeah,
Like,
I
you
never
you know that sense of.
I will
No, go
never
ahead.
be the person, because I will proudly admit I never stole people's art or animation. I never did that shit.
Yeah.
I never did that shit because I knew that shit was wrong. Like, that shit,
Yeah, me too.
that's fucked up. I never did that. That's the one thing on Tumblr where I'm like, I'm not fucking doing that. Like, I'm not gonna steal someone's shit and take credit for it.
One of my favorite things to do, whenever I posted something to Twitter, is that since I loved, editing memes and stuff like that, and like little video edits, a thing I would do would like post something that looks like it's just an unedited clip of something else, but it's actually edited. Like, one of my favorite things to do was take like cartoons I was watching at the time and just like mimic characters' voices and make them say fuck.
I remember the OKKO one. I remember
Yeah.
I have never forgotten the OKKO one, because I'm still impressed you did that to this day.
Okay, so get this, right? That I made that video. I'll explain what it was. Back when OKKO, which is a Cartoon Network show, back when it was still airing and producing new episodes, I was watching it and I was enjoying it for what it was. I actually need to go back and watch the rest of it now that it's over. But back when it was still airing, I was into it, and I took a clip from it, and I made the main character from OKKO say "fuck" by mimicking the voice actress as close as I could. I shit you not, because the voice actress for OKKO, or not OKKO, just his name is KO, the character.
Yeah, the character.
The voice actress for KO is really talented and has a very unique voice. I don't sound like her at all. And everybody always asks about that video when they see it. It's just like, that's not you. And I'm like, yes, it is. And the way I was able to do that was to take 3 hours in front of the microphone saying the same statement over and over again, trying to get my voice just the right amount of raspy to make it sound
so you
similar
fucked
enough.
your voice up to do it, basically.
Yes. I did the voice actor cardinal sin of just fucking my shit up super hard until it worked. And everybody can get pissed at me for doing that all they want, but it got results at the end of the day. And it's me doing it to myself, so it's okay. If it was a director doing it to me, then yeah, that's something to be pissed about. But I did it to myself, and I pulled it off. And you know what? I got the creator of the show, Ian Jones Cordy, to like the tweet. Not retweet it because I don't think he'd have a
No, I
job
don't
if
think
he
he would
did
have been
that.
allowed to. It's
But a like is a like. That is approval. I thought it was like one of those things that would just get me like blacklisted, but that right there just showed me that at least people who worked on that probably enjoyed it, which is, like have you ever this is kind of like a fucky question to ask, but have you ever posted something on Twitter or like on YouTube and you're just like, damn, this is definitely gonna get me blacklisted from somewhere, isn't it? You know
I
what I
know
mean?
there's been shit I've posted on Twitter before, like years ago. I think not even anything that was like offensive, but like just like a joke that was made or something like just something like it's something so stupid or something so raunchy that you're just thinking like someone's gonna quit working with me because of this.
Yeah, like I feel that about my videos all the time and stuff that I say on Twitter where I'm like, there's no way that somebody's gonna look at this and be like, yeah, I want to work with that guy.
I get memories of. Do you remember when Infinity War came out and there was the Thanos dick pic that was going around? Like the fucking.
I love that pic so much. Oh my god, me and my friends spam that pic to each other like all the time. Like, it's so good, and it crops on Twitter like perfectly.
Oh no,
each
it does.
time.
It was like click for a surprise. It was like think that's what it was or something like that. And I remember I fucking retweeted that, and then I got rid of it like, oh Jesus, 10 minutes.
Yo, welcome to the Burp Club. Casa de Burp.
10 minutes later, I deleted that. I got rid of that retweet. Because someone got on my case and they were like, people are gonna want to fucking work with you if you retweet that, and like no one's gonna hire you, and they meant like a job, like they meant like a job, and
I would have just said like, okay, mom.
Yeah,
like,
no, I felt the same way when I was told that. Like they were like, dude, it's like people aren't gonna hire you for a job. I'm like, okay, number one, no one at my job that I currently have knows about my Twitter account. They do not know about it. And I can guarantee you they probably won't unless I literally show one of my employees I have a Twitter account.
Exactly. Like
no one
that
would
was actually originally why I that was originally why I started my YouTube channel without like my name or my face or anything like that. Was because of that, because I was afraid that the things that I posted would get me like blacklisted and crap like that, because like I would post like I'm losing my train of thought. And basically, I would post stupid shit so much that I was sure that if it was linked to like my face or anything like that people would know that it's me, obviously, and be like, if they looked me up. Sorry, I keep saying the word like over and over again. Like
holy shit,
a fool.
Man. Like, oh.
What the fuck, man?
Like, holy shit. Like.
But yeah, I was afraid that people would look me up and that would come up instead of my actual like portfolio, and there'd be horrible repercussions. Now I don't really care. I would honestly like do a face reveal or something, but I've kind of, in a weird way, I've gotten used to the privacy and I kind of enjoy it.
Well, I was actually going to bring up, like, what is it like being someone who you have that anonymity almost? Like, but it's like people know your name. And,
yes, they do.
Yeah, they know your name. They know what you sound like. And in some cases, some of us have seen what you look like. And
yes.
But you still have this level of anonymity in a way. Like, I mean, like, what is that like?
It's, I gotta say, it feels good. Initially, I really wanted to like, and there was videos on my channel that did have my face, but they're all privated and like unlisted and stuff like that. You can't find them anymore. But when I first started the channel, I was fine with putting my face on it because I wasn't doing anything too crazy. And then I started doing crazy stuff, and stuff started going viral, and I was like, no. So I just privated everything. But I don't know, it feels so much different than I thought it would. But it feels good because it allows me to separate my private life with YouTube stuff, which feels really good. It feels very secure. It kind of feels what's the word? Like I could step away from YouTube stuff like whenever I wanted and not have it affect my life at all. Like I know there's a lot of friends of mine who do YouTube stuff and they have their face on it, and sometimes they get recognized in public. I don't get recognized at all. There's only been like one time that it's happened, and it was only after a specific instance that they were able to figure out who I was. Uh, in conventions, it sometimes happens.
Yeah, well, I mean,
because
I ran into you at a panel.
voice.
I don't even remember how I found out it was you. Did you just tell me? Or, like, I don't even remember.
I don't remember either. I think we were sitting next to each other and we were like, "Who are you?"
Well, it's weird because we weren't with Kev or Nick or any of them. Like, we weren't with any of the animation guys. I think I literally just sat down in this seat at this panel, and you just happened to be sitting next to me.
Yeah, I have a feeling like you might have recognized my voice, but I don't know.
I don't
That's pretty rare when
know.
it happens.
That's the thing, because I don't recognize. It's ironic because for my whole life I've had this thing where I'm like, oh, I know that voice. Like I do that shit all the fucking time when I watch cartoons. That's my whole life. But it's one of those things where when I meet someone in person, I almost never think about their voice. Like it's
Yeah,
really weird.
I've been told by people who found out who I was after the fact. They tell me how much different I sound in person compared to when I'm doing online stuff. Like I have a complete change of tone of voice that I didn't even realize. But in person, I've been told I'm a lot more monotone and less animated than I am online, which is so weird because I never really thought about it. But yeah, I kind of do that. Probably at conventions, I probably like keep the same tone of voice because I'm talking to funny internet people, so
Yeah,
it
well,
makes me happy.
I've had people tell me my voice sounds higher when they meet me in person. Which
Interesting.
that
Okay.
that 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 doesn't hurt my self-esteem at all, thinking I sound like a chipmunk. But it's one of those things where I think it's just the comfortability of being around people that you know, that your
Yeah,
voice just kind of
definitely.
adapts back. Like, because when you meet someone at first, their voice is going to sound different, but I guarantee if you hang out around them more, like if me and you hung out like enough, like we would both be talking like this to each other. If we like,
Exactly.
yeah, it's basically you have to adapt after a
Y-
while.
One of the first times that anybody ever recognized who I was, it was in a college class of mine.
How did they
Funnily
find
enough,
out?
um, I was. This is really stupid. Um, but in obviously when I'm in a college class, I don't really care that much. I'm just there to learn. I'm not super animated a lot of the time. I sometimes I like being the class fucking goofball. I fuck off and do stupid shit and say stupid shit, and I enjoy it. But most of the time, I'm just there to learn. So my voice is kind of monotone. And I was sitting next to this dude, and we had to do a thing where we had to like converse for a bit. I can't believe I just said the word converse seriously,
Converse
but whatever.
like true gentlemen, we conversed
Like
among ourselves.
true British gentleman, ain't it? It's pretty stupid.
That's some
But we
hardcore
can,
Cockney. Like,
yeah,
it was pretty fucking
we
stupid what we did. We conversed with each other about the fucking
con-
math quiz.
it fucking conversed after the math
Now
quiz.
it's turning into
Uh,
Beatles.
we love the Beatles. Um, but we were talking, and they were like showing me. They were showing. This is so goddamn stupid. I think they were showing me meme edits of like Peter Griffin tripping because we were talking about memes. And then I was like, "Yo, that's so funny! I started that meme." And they were like, "No, you didn't, you fucking moron! I know where the meme came from." came from this dude, and I'm like, I'm the dude. They're like, no, you're
Well,
fucking
yeah. How
not.
do you
It's like,
convince? It's like voice actors when people say like, "Yeah, I'm the voice of that guy." How do you convince them? Is yeah.
I went on my laptop and I signed into YouTube, and then they were like, oh fuck.
You want me to fucking
And
prove I'm real?
they were a subscriber, and they completely like freaked out, and I wasn't prepared for it because I didn't think that anyone gave a shit, and it was kind of up until that moment where I was like, oh wait, I guess this is a big deal to some people. It's kind of weird.
Well, it's like I remember the second year I went to MomoCon in 2017. I think that was around the time I was starting to pick up more attention as a Twitter user and as a voice actor. And I mean, more people recognize me for Twitter than they recognize me for my voiceover when they meet me in person. But
Oh, join the club.
yeah, but I remember in like 2017, I said I was gonna be at MomoCon, not thinking anyone was actually gonna be there that knew me. Like I was just thinking like it's a shot in the dark. Like I only have like 3.5 thousand followers on Twitter. Like that's just a huge shot in the dark if someone's gonna know who I am. And I think on like the second day I was in the vendors hall and someone approached me when I was looking at in one of the comic book areas, and they were like, "Hey, are you Edward's VA?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh yeah, I follow you on Twitter." And I was like, "Holy shit." Like there's just something surreal but like is it cathartic, I think is the right word. Like there's just
Yeah,
something so like surprising and like but like so cathartic at the same time when someone is like, "Hey, I know you from online." And you're like, "Holy shit, I didn't think you were real. You were just a name to me on Twitter." Like,
yeah. I recognize people by icons on Twitter. So when they appear in front of me, I'm like, yo, you're not that one person from Lupin the Third. What? You're not like that one anime character that I keep seeing with like the heart emojis around him on the little profile picture. What the heck?
I've had. Do you have that weird association that I do, where you get so used to? This was even back in the day when I was on Skype when I was like 14. Do you ever have that association where you're so used to someone using a character or an icon, like an animated like drawing of themselves? Like you get so attached to that when you actually see what they look like, it throws you the fuck off like so bad.
I haven't had that happen to me for the most part. I think I've had that happen a couple of times with some friends of mine that do that. But in particular, I've been told that a lot about me because I know there was a big meme that came from MomoCon when I went that one year. The first and last year I went to MomoCon,
Yeah.
which stunk, but whatever. You know how it be, the world on fire and all.
Yeah.
But the big meme from that year was that I looked like Mr. Incredible,
Yeah. I remember we were
and
all saying that within
nobody
the group.
nobody would shut up about it. It was like the big joke of the con is that I came in front of people and I was like, "Hey, how's it going?" And they were all just, "You look like Mr. Incredible." I don't know what to say.
I think Leah or Nick was the one that started that. I don't remember who.
I believe it was Leah that started it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna push all blame onto Leah. But I definitely think that Nick perpetuated it
Yeah.
a lot. And it's so funny because there were so many out of context posts about it on Twitter during and after, and there's so many people that still don't get like the joke of associating me with Mr. Incredible. And like eventually, I don't know, maybe I'll do a face reveal or some bullshit, and then people will finally understand. Like, oh, I kind of see it now. I personally, I don't see it. I don't know why everybody
I
sees
can
it.
see it, not 100%, but I can see it in some of the facial structure, like a little bit.
Yeah, People have told me that my jaw is like what makes it for them, and
You
I'm
got
like,
the Ice Cube jaw.
yeah, I could like bash somebody's skull in with my jaw.
Crimson Chin.
Yo, the Crimson Chin. Oh man, a new cosplay idea.
I don't think I've ever seen a Crimson Chin cosplay in my life, which you would think it'd be pretty
Really?
easy. No, I've never seen one.
I'm looking this up.
I know
Uh,
they exist, but I've never in the 4 years I went to MomoCon, and I've gone to 3 other conventions since then. I've never seen a Crimson Chin cosplayer.
there's a lot of images of Crimson Chin cosplayers online. It doesn't really translate a lot of the time,
Well, I
gotta
think
say.
the chin is the biggest problem because it just looks weird. Like that or
Yeah,
the muscle suit, I guess. Like would be the
the
other
Crimson
problem.
Chin.
Like I've seen
That,
Cosmo and Wanda, and I think I saw a Crocker at MomoCon once. But like those are super easy to do.
can we talk about how like I'm looking up the Crimson Chin's design right now. It's just so strange looking to me right now. I don't know why. When I was a kid, I just kind of accepted it,
Well,
but
yeah.
looking at it, it's built weird. The Crimson Chin's whole design is just very strange.
Well,
Look,
because like
looking at it now, I mean,
I always thought it was really weird that like with the mask, I always thought it was weird because when they show his face, you realize, oh, the reason you can't see his nose is because his nose is like shaped exactly like the point on his mask. Because I always thought it was weird that there was no outline for the nose for the character. Because like even like characters
mhm.
that have something that cover their nose, like Batman, like they still have the point, like where their nose should be, and he doesn't.
Wait,
He just has like a flat face. Like
hold
it's
up. He was voiced by Jay Leno?
yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, that's the
Did
whole
they do
joke.
that on
That's the whole
purpose?
joke of him having a big chin.
Oh my god.
I think that
I,
was the
I
whole joke, is they wanted to get Jay Leno because the character had a giant chin.
I'm sure all the kids will get that reference.
What, Jay Leno? Are we that old?
Yeah.
Are we that old now? That
I've never seen Jay Leno on TV.
well, Jay Leno's been off the air, I think, for like 6 or 7 years now. I think because now I
Yeah.
think he just does whatever. It's like I don't think he does anything anymore. He just
Yeah, he
collects
just kind of
cars.
he just yeah. What is with rich people and collecting cars?
Well, it's like, well, I mean, like, if it's a passion, if you're into collecting comic books, you collect comic books. If you're into collecting cars, you collect cars. What I find crazy is Jay
I
Leno
mean,
apparently
like
has
I
like
just
three or four garages of cars that he's bought. Like,
what?
yeah, no, he owns a shit ton of cars. Like, he has like 3 or 4 different massive garages he's bought just for his car collection.
That is insane to me.
Well, it's like I
Like
remember
I
Gabriel Iglesias also has like a garage for a car collection because he collects 70s RVs. That's or not RVs, vans, like minivans, like like the van from the hippie van from Cars. He collects those kind of cars. He
I've
specifically collects
never
those.
I have never heard somebody try to describe me a car by saying, "Hey, remember that one car from the movie Cars?"
Well,
Those.
dude, I'm shit with model names and companies, so I'm just like, hey, remember that
Me
one
too.
car
I
from
couldn't care
Cars?
less. I couldn't care less personally. I'm glad they use that as a descriptor because I feel like more people should just do that because I know more about Cars the movie than I do about actual
Well,
cars.
Cars, yeah. Well, it was like the hippie van that George Carlin played. That kind of car.
Now you're speaking my language.
Oh man. Well, it's like I mean I like Cars. I don't like the movie, not the car
Movie or the
cars.
vehicle? Because this is getting confusing now.
I like Pixar's Cars. There we go. There we go.
I like the first Cars, but I've been on record saying this with friends, but probably not online as much. It used to be a huge meme. Like I vehemently hate Cars 2 with a burning
Yeah,
passion.
Cars 2 is a piece of shit.
It's just like just make a spy movie. Why did you make Cars 2 a spy movie? They're cars. Just make a spy movie,
I
Pixar. Why?
I will never forget when me and my dad saw that movie when I was like 15. I remember leaving the theater and my dad, the first thing I think my dad said was Owen Wilson in that? And I was like, yeah. I was like, wow. He sounded nothing like Owen Wilson. Like, he genuinely thought Owen Wilson sounded like he gave so little of a shit that he didn't think Owen Wilson played Lightning McQueen.
Yeah, when I saw that movie, at first I was just kind of like, I didn't really care about it that much. I was just like, okay, it was okay.
I thought it
But
was.
just
I
the
think I
more
thought it was
think
fine
about it,
when I first saw it.
it's fine when you first see it, but when you start to think about the logistics of it, like the whole thing where there's a scene in the movie where a car is tied up, but their wheels are still free, so they're not actually tied up. They just want you to pretend like they're tied up, I guess.
Which makes even less sense because in the first movie they show, like, when Lightning wakes up, when he like drives into Radiator Springs, he has the lock on his foot, so he can't leave.
Yeah.
Like,
Legitimately, it just feels like Pixar wanted to make a spy movie, and they were like, we can't just make something original. We have to make them cars, I guess. It's so strange because animation as a medium it gives you the freedom to just do whatever you want. You could have easily made a spy movie in live action. You didn't need to insert cars into
you could
that.
have
I
done a
don't
spy
get it.
movie with just humans. Like, why didn't you just do that?
Everything in that movie could have been performed by humans, and it pisses me off because the first car
there's so much is it because there's a shocking amount of car death and Pixar didn't want to have that much human death in a movie, even though I think like I think like 10 people die in Incredibles. Like,
I mean, like, I guess, like, but what I'm trying to say is, right, Cars 1, the reason why they're talking cars is because the narrative has to do with talking cars that race. That is what cars do. They race. So it's interesting to make a racing movie about talking cars. But then the second movie is like, okay, there's a race, but that's not the focus of the story. The focus of the story is about Mater, a talking car, becoming a master spy. Why a spy? What does that have to do with being a car?
It's not even that. Even if it was a good, like, even if it was a shitty generic plot, like, if the movie was still funny or if the writing was good, I could forgive a generic plot. But no, the whole reason they think he's a spy is because they think that the agent is just in character. Like, he's method. So they just think, oh, he's just stupid because he's playing a character. I'm like, why have none of you you're a secret agent. Why don't you just run like a file check on this guy or something? You can clearly tell this isn't him. And they believe it the whole fucking movie, and it's so stupid.
It's very dumb.
Well, and it's also, a plot that's been done before. It's
the thing that I talked about earlier, the rope tying thing. How did the cars tie him up in a rope? How did that work?
Their mouths.
They don't have hands.
What I always thought.
Like you'd have to go through some pretty hard mental gymnastics to figure out how that would work.
Well, it's like I mean, I always think about the fact that the villain in that movie is fucking awful, like genuinely one of the worst villains I've seen in an animated movie.
I don't remember who the villain was. I don't remember there even being a villain.
Yeah, Miles Axelrod. You remember that? You don't remember the oil tycoon that you see like 4 times in the movie? And he's the twist villain.
What? Who is that?
Exactly my point. The main villain of the movie is this oil tycoon guy who is like sponsoring Lightning's race, and you see him like 3 or 4 times throughout the movie, and you find out that he's the bad guy, and he's sabotaging his own company for money. It's something about like his oil is like eco-friendly and it's causing cars to explode, which makes his company look bad. And then you find out he was doing it for money, but he made his own company look bad by doing this. So his plan makes no fucking sense. Eddie Izzard just really needed a paycheck, I think. Like, that's all I can think with that.
That sort of reasoning kind of just reminds me of I've been getting back into Pokemon recently, and there's that one game of Gen 3 Ruby and Sapphire where they have Team Magma and Team Aqua, and like
Yeah.
Team Magma is like, we're gonna make everything land, no more water. And it's like, how are you gonna live, you idiot? And then the water guy comes along and he's like, well, we're gonna make everything water. And it's like, where are you going to live,
On a
idiot?
boat? Is it gonna be
Look,
like fucking Waterworld? Are you gonna live on Mount Everest? Like,
we going full Wind Waker on this shit?
yeah.
Like,
Is Kevin Costner gonna show up? Or are we gonna have Link and Kevin Costner Waterworld's Wind Waker crossover? The four W's: Waterworld and Wind Waker.
people always criticize like Team Magma and Team Aqua, but also at the same time, I love criticizing them. But goddamn, I fucking love those guys. Their shit makes no sense. Like compared to every other Pokemon villain that has an actual like thing that's like, oh, I can kind of see why you'd do that. They just come along.
What was the
like,
villain in X? I remember the villain in X and Y having a really stupid plan. I don't remember what it
I mean,
was.
it was stupid, but like at least he explained it. Like unlike Team Magma and Team Aqua, like Lysander came along and he's like, I just want to remake the world from scratch because I think humans have made it horrible. And like like low key, kind of agree, my dude. But also don't do that because you'd kill like a lot of innocent people.
You're gonna kill yourself too. It's like,
I mean, like he didn't care about that. He was just like his reasoning made sense. Like his whole motive was like, I'm gonna remake the world from scratch because it's not like imperfect now because
Team
humans have
Flare
fucked
was
it
the
up.
one where they were like fashion models, weren't they, or
Yeah,
something like that?
shit made
That's
no
the
sense
thing.
to
That's
a
the
lot
thing I
of
thought
the
was fucking
plots.
stupid about them is why are they fashion models? That's the
I
thing I
guess
thought was
like
stupid. 'Cause
I
it
guess
did
like
not remotely
they're
fit the aesthetic of their plan.
I guess like they're obsessed with like making the world fabulous, and then all of a sudden it wasn't fabulous because humans exist in it. So they're trying to like remake it from scratch using like
It's, to me,
funny
it's
legendary.
to me, it's Pokemon. I don't play Pokemon for plot, honestly.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Have you played the Gen 5 games, Black and White?
yeah, no, I've played all of them. The only one I haven't
So,
played is Sword and Shield because I'm honestly just not that interested in it.
don't worry. Honestly, I tried playing Sword and Shield all the way through, and it was very difficult.
I got
Like
Pokemon Let's
don't
Go
know.
Pikachu, and I've been really liking that. So
Yeah, I like that. Those games are cute. People are pissed about those games, but I think that they're cute. Um, I think that they're a good like little like spin-off type thing, but apparently they're like mainline games. I don't even know anymore. But Gen 5 is so good. I love Gen 5. People don't like it that much for some reason, but I think it's dope. I think that I think that was the peak for me. After Gen 5, I was kind of like once everything went 3D, I was like, okay, this was like fun for all of 2 seconds, but can I have all the cool 2D art back?
I think X and Y I really, really liked, but I think X and Y I had this enjoyment of. I went into X and Y 100% blind. I knew nothing about it. Like
Oh yeah.
I literally just bought it because I was like, oh, it's a new Pokemon game. I guess I should play it. It's the only Pokemon game I've ever gone into like 100% blind. I knew nothing about it. I knew nothing about the Pokemon in it. I knew nothing about anything. I went into it completely blind and I fucking loved it.
I
But
think with X and Y, the main thing, like when I first played through it, I really really liked it. But I think one of the only things that I ended up liking about it, like super hard, was that everything was in 3D. But then that kind of wore off on me after a while. I don't know how to explain it. I started missing all the 2D art like super bad. I thought it gave the games a lot of like cool flair, and all of a sudden that was all kind of like lost now.
ironically,
I don't
Flair,
know.
Pokemon X and Y. Ironic.
Yeah,
But
ironic.
it's ironic.
But I'm actually this is gonna sound kind of like stupid. Should I be talking about anything in particular on this podcast, or are we just gonna
Bitch,
have
we have
this
talked
weird?
about fucking Cars 2 and the Crimson Chin. Like anything is
Yeah,
on the table
I
right
feel like
now.
we got slightly off track.
No, I've had conversations with people about like fetishes in animation. like medieval torture. Like we've had some wild fucking conversations on this podcast. This is nothing. Like,
Okay, cool.
oh, I thought you had like something really weird you wanted to bring up.
Oh no, I was just like, let's take a breather.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna take this in a really weird direction. Like you were like
Oh no.
we were gonna go down a rabbit hole like when me and Saber Spark talked about like medieval torture methods from like the 15th century, like at one point for like 10 minutes, or like when I talked to fucking Ashley Nichols about like fetishy animation for like 20 minutes.
Oh, actually.
Oh, Ashley.
Uh, oh my god, but yeah,
It's
shit
like,
do be weird sometimes.
oh man, I guess something I've always found I find fascinating because you did the what was it the boo boo the cancel boo boo. What was the other? What was the other? You did two of those. Was there two? There was the boo boo
Yeah,
one, and there was
yes,
another
it
one.
was. I canceled myself.
Canceled yourself. What is
Yes.
it like to have that kind of power on Twitter?
It's so weird because I'm not even that big of a YouTuber either. I just have this weird subsection of people that's like really devoted to the stupid jokes. Um, but yeah, no, it's really strange. I remember I put out a joke tweet about it where I was saying like I'm gonna make a twit longer that's like really stupid, and when I make it, I need everybody to react to it in a very like negative way. Don't even read it. Just say like how disappointed you are or like something.
Yeah,
And then I made it and it just said pee pee poo poo ha ha. Or ha ha ha. Three ha's.
yeah, I remember.
And
Yeah, I
then
remember
all of a
that.
sudden, everybody, I think a couple of people tried to do hashtag cancel salty or something. And I was like, that's a great idea. Let's do that. And then it started happening. And I got people messaging me about it like, there's already like 1,000 tweets in this hashtag. And I'm like, what? And then I just saw it and I was like, let's see how far we can push this. And I just hopped on Twitch and I was like, hey, I see you guys doing this. Let's just keep pushing and see what happens. And then the whole boo boo thing, that I didn't even mean for that to happen. That was just a joke that I was making on stream.
Yeah,
I, I didn't think it would go anywhere. I was playing a game. I wasn't promoting it like super actively. I made a little like fake dumb video about it and posted on Twitter where I took some like fan machinima of Boo Boo shooting Yogi in the back of the head.
I
And
had
I
always
just
wondered
like
what the fuck that animation was because that was scary good. That animation.
that animation came out around the time that the live action Yogi Bear movie came out.
Oh, it actually came out at the time the movie did. I did not even know that.
Yes, some animation student or somebody, they came out with that and said that it was like an alternate ending from the DVD or something.
Yeah. Well, I know the scene is a parody of I think it's a Brad Pitt movie or something like that. It's like the assassination of Jesse James. That's what it's called, and it's like a shot for shot parody of the end of the movie. And I just remember you made that. That got like what, number 4 on trending? That got like the worldwide trends, didn't it?
Yes, it did. Well, which one? The Boo Boo one
Yeah,
or
the Boo one.
the Boo Boo one? I think got up to 4. I know the one where I was canceling myself got up to 2
Oh my god.
for a sec. In America, not worldwide.
Oh, okay.
It was in America, and then Ariana Grande released her latest single, and then everything went to shit. But we were so close. But the Ariana Grande stans won. It's just how it be sometimes.
I don't know what I would do with that level of power online. Like if I could literally say whatever you want to the point where you can actually get a hashtag trending to number 4. I don't know what I would even do if I had that kind of power.
I mean, like everybody comments saying you should do that again, and I'm just like, what do you mean? Like how? What would I even do? I've already done the funny. Like what?
Well, And if
What
you
could
do
what
it,
else could I do with that?
if you do it just for the sake of doing it again, it's not gonna feel special. Like that's the other thing.
Exactly. There has to be like a reason before I like it when it's a spur of the moment thing. I don't like planning ahead that much.
I was gonna say because
I
the
do
boo boo thing just kind of happened. Like,
I did have, and this is something that I was originally going to do, but sadly, due to recent events, I cannot. There was, I was gonna do another big Twitter thing, and I was posting gifs on it, on Twitter about it, before I was going to do it, but me and my friends devised this new Rickroll called Getting Sheened. And it's just a picture of Sheen Estevez from Jimmy Neutron, uh, and you flip it back and forth in a GIF to make it look like he's dancing,
yeah.
and it just has big impact font on the GIF that says "You've got Sheened." And the plan is that we were going to make a bunch of these different GIFs in like different styles with different different references and stuff. We made an Undertale version of Sheen and stuff like that. And our plan was that I was gonna do a Twitch stream where I try to Sheen the president. Um, Obviously, right when I was planning on doing the stream and I was setting shit up, and I was gonna set up a Google Drive where anybody could download Sheen gifs and like spam them on the president's latest tweet. He got banned off of Twitter,
Oh.
so I can't do that anymore. So I'm thinking, does Mitch McConnell have a Twitter?
I was just thinking, does Mitch McConnell have a Twitter?
Because I feel like I want to Sheen Mitch McConnell. I'm gonna look that up. He's got to have a Twitter,
or he has to have like a team Twitter or something like that.
Yeah,
no, he does
definitely
not, from what it sounds like.
He doesn't. But yeah, let's talk about voiceover or something, I guess.
I mean, you've done a pretty decent amount of voiceover from what I remember. Because what was that thing you did where you did Irwin as Falco? What was that thing you did once? I've always remembered that because I love that cartoon.
That was, oh my god. Oh my god. I'm such an idiot. Why am I forgetting the name of Rigmarole? That was Rigmarole.
Yeah.
I can't believe I almost forgot his screen name. I was gonna beat myself up over that. He's a very nice dude. He just contacted me because I guess he saw the Irwin video and he thought it would be funny if I did that voice for it. And so I did. And there's like no joke behind it. There's no connection between Irwin and Falco at all.
It was literally just, hey, can you do this voice? It's funny.
Yes, exactly. That was and I like that thought process. Like I feel the same way sometimes. Like I'm fine with doing stupid voices even if they don't make any sense in the narrative or anything.
It's like I think one of my favorite voices I ever did for a project was the devil in Suction Cup Man 3 for Pymations. And I remember literally we had been fucking workshopping that voice for so long because we just couldn't get it right, because originally it was just gonna be generic deep devil voice. Like it was like not Dr. Claw, it was just gonna be like this fool. It was just gonna be that, and we didn't think it was funny. That was like the biggest problem, is we were just like, yeah, but it's not funny. And I think we tried like 3 different things until we just finally got a voice where I was just like, what's the stupidest voice that we could give the devil that both sounds kind of threatening but sounds really fucking stupid? And I remember the voice I came up with was, I just did this because I just thought it sounds like it could be threatening, but it just sounds funny. And we just
that's like one octave away from like Doofenshmirtz.
Oh, well, it's funny story. The story behind that voice is that I used to want to be a ventriloquist or a puppeteer when I was a kid.
Oh my god.
I had a dinosaur puppet, a T-Rex, and I still have that puppet. And that was the voice I did for the puppet. Was he talked like this. He just had this kind of voice, and I just always did this voice for him. And that voice has now forever been repurposed into Satan from Suction Cup Man. The only
Man,
difference is that we actually pitched it because we still wanted it to be deep, but if you go into Audacity and you just pitch it up, that's the actual voice I did.
I I really wish I could get more into voice acting again. There's a lot of people that don't even know that I do voiceover work at all. When that used to be like my main thing that I did when I was first starting online, which is so weird looking back on now.
I was in I go through ruts with my voiceover where I'm just kind of like which is gonna happen, but I always get to I think everyone has that point where they're just like, am I doing something wrong? Because I haven't gotten work in like 5 months. Like that kind
Oh,
of
you
shit.
think that's bad? I I'm I don't know if I've talked about this or not. And this is kind of embarrassing, but I quote unquote try to do voice acting professionally. The only place I book jobs is on stupid internet shit. I don't book them anywhere else.
So you don't book
I've
like actual
tried.
like games or anything like that.
No, I don't work like actual like pretty okay paying gigs. The most I've ever gotten paid for a voiceover thing was like $40.
The most I
And that
ever
might
got
seem
paid
like
was
a lot to some
$100.
people. Um no, feel that. I feel that hard. But yeah, it's just like it's so strange because people are like, so you've been going out on auditions and stuff for how long? And I'm like, 5 years. But and it's like, so you've been doing that professionally? How many gigs have you booked? And I'm just like, nothing. Do you count the funny internet video I was in a gig? Because I've been in a couple of those. But yeah, I'm totally fine with getting rejected like 1,000 times if it means that I can book at least one.
Oh no, I've always had this thing. Like I guess I've had this conversation with some friends where I always feel like I I I I have friends hire me a lot for things like just friends for like little internet videos or like short little bits. Like I remember Nick got me for like the opening of his like Treehouse of Horror video back in October for the opening Marge and
Mm.
Homer bit. Like that's the kind of shit I get a lot. I get like a little bit character or I get like a side character or something. And a lot of the times it's just friends. And I remember saying like, yeah, but I don't want to only do work for friends. Like I want to earn a job. Like that's the thing. And so it was like, well, you're getting work. I'm like, yeah, but it's friends work. And I'm not saying I don't like my friends. It's just I'd rather feel the satisfaction of saying I earned that as opposed to I had a friend who just happened to need a role. Like just
Under
needed a
Yeah,
role
that's
filled.
totally understandable. I've always been of the opinion that like I know for a fact that all of my friends are going to be super successful, and I have a lot of friends of mine who like do a lot of animating and like animation stuff, and I am like 100% sure that these people will eventually work on shows or like pitch a show and totally get the green light. So a part of me is like, well, worst comes to worst, I just leech off of my amazing friends for roles because they've told me so many times they're just like, dude, I need an excuse to hire you for something,
Well,
and I'm
that's
like,
I have
felt
like my
that.
friends tell me like, oh, you're so talented, you're gonna get more work. I'm like, but I would. Why am I not getting any? like,
Yeah,
like it.
you know what? At the end of the day, at the end of the day, there's always going to be stuff that like fits you and stuff that doesn't.
Oh
You
yeah.
might just be accidentally like you're probably, honestly, like based on what you've told me, I feel like you're just so close. You're so fucking close. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. No, I've told you about some things that I have been confirmed. Like I got in like the top 3 or the top 10 for consideration. I'm like, oh, but I got that close. like it's one of those things where everyone tells me like, yeah, but that tells me you're that good, and I do take that. Like people tell us like, yeah, you were that good that you were considered that highly, but at the same time, it's that thing in the back of your mind where you're just kind of like, yeah, but I didn't get it, like that kind of shit.
Yeah. it's hard not to be negative about some of that sort of stuff. Because like to many people it's like, "Oh, you got really close. That's super positive." But then probably to you it's like, "Oh, I got super close and didn't get picked, so it didn't matter."
Well, it's like I remember Billy West on Rob Paulson's podcast like years ago. He had said like, "Oh well, whenever people approach me, it's like, the nomination is just as important as the Emmy," and Billy was like, "No, it's not." Like,
No.
it's is like, but he also made the whole joke, of it was like, which would you rather have in your house during a home invasion, a knife or something with a base that weighs 10 pounds? It's like, which would you rather have? It's like, I don't know. It's
Yeah,
just one of those things where it starts to demotivate you a lot. Because
totally.
because
And it,
I've had spells where I just don't audition for months. Like there's just nothing I audition for, or there's like nothing I'm interested in, and I'm like, it's this. I feel like you've had the same thing because I've had a lot of voice actors say the same thing to me. It's this thing of I don't want to audition. I'm so depressed and I don't want to audition because I'm not getting any work. It's like, yeah, but if you don't audition, you're not going to get any work, and then you won't be depressed. I'm like, yeah, but that's why I'm depressed. Like it's
yeah, it's
this.
like you're fighting back against like it's almost like a losing battle.
Yeah. Well, again,
Like
it's like a snake. It's a snake that's eating itself. Basically, it's I'm not getting
yeah.
work. I'm depressed because I'm not getting work. I was like, well, audition. And I'm like, but I'm not getting anything when I audition, and that's why I'm depressed. Like, it's a never-ending cycle for periods of time.
It really do be like that. It really do.
Yeah.
It's a struggle. I know there's a lot of people that have asked me like, how do you stay motivated? And my response is usually just I don't.
Yeah.
I just I pressure myself.
I mean, a lot.
I
I've
somehow
had
pull off peer pressure, but it's only me.
I've had a lot of people that have told me like, there's nothing wrong with taking a break from doing work every so often, but it's just one of those things where you kind of get to a point where you're like, yeah, but I just really want work, man. And it sucks when you're not getting anything. Like you have to go to friends and you're
Yeah,
like, hey, do you have anything you have right now that I can do a voice for? Or something like that. Like I just want to do something.
yeah, and then that leads to like shooting your shot. You know,
I think
have you ever had that happen
like what, like you miss your
where
shot at
you
something?
try to shoot your no you try to shoot your shot with somebody about being included was on something.
Oh, like you just missed it or something like that. Like you're just
Yeah.
like you're just like, oh man, sorry man, I just filled all the roles. I'm like, shit, like that kind of shit.
Yeah, or like you send somebody a message because you know that they're looking for people, or
Well, or you
like
happen to be
it's
in a
like a friend
call.
of yours.
Like you happen to be in a
Yeah, and
call
you're
and
just like, "Yo, are you looking for anybody right now?" And they're like, "No." And I'm like, "All right."
I remember there's actually a story about that. It's another Pymation story. So when Birdtown, that short he made a few years ago, when Birdtown came out, I hadn't been in a call for a while, and I remember asking like, hey, do you need, like, I saw he was animating, and I was like, hey, do you like need any extra help on this, any extra voices? He's like, oh man, I'm sorry, I already like most everyone's already recorded their lines. And I was like, oh shit. And he's like, well, I do have this one character if you wanted to record literally like 3 words. And I was like, okay. And the old man that
Hey,
appears
three
in
words.
Birdtown that goes, fuck the mayor, that's me. And that's my only line in the entire thing.
3 words better than no words. You know what I mean,
I was
fam?
the one line old man bird. I have the least amount of dialogue in the entire short. And I'm not bitter towards Mike. I'm not bitter at all about that kind of shit, but it's something where you do sometimes just feel upset that you wish you had gotten to them sooner and asked about it or something like that, and you're like, man, I could have been a bigger part in this if I just reached them like a week before or something like that.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think the most depressed I've ever been was Zarel. He has his monkey wrench thing, his pilot that he's working on right now. And
Hmm.
I was so sad because I did not find out that he was looking for auditions until the day after the deadline.
Oh, fuck.
And
That's the worst.
that genuinely made me depressed for like 4 or 5 days. I was so depressed about that because I even went on Twitter. I'm like, so I just found out that that there was a pilot that I missed auditioning for that would have been a really big opportunity, and I didn't know about it until the day after the deadline. And I was really sad about that.
Well, I was gonna say something profound, but then my brain shut off.
It was like,
No,
no.
normally when I have nothing to add, I'm just like, it really do be like that.
It do be like that, my homie. It do be
Yeah.
like that.
It do.
It
It
sucks.
do be
It
like that.
sucks, man. It sucks.
Crazy, crazy shit. Why? Why does it happen? I don't know. It seems like the world is just like, hey, you really wanna roll right now? JK.
Yeah.
Lol.
Well, for
Nope.
me, it's the worst when I get into an acting mood and then I go through. I'm in a couple servers that like share a bunch of shit, and they share like different auditions and casting calls and shit like that. And I hate when five in a row. It's like 1 female role, 2 female roles, 3 female roles, 1 female role. It's like, are you looking for any men? Like, are you looking for
Yeah.
anything? Oh
From
man.
my experience, like female roles are pretty scarce compared to male roles online.
Yeah, no, it is because I've held auditions for a couple things before, and the female characters were always like the hardest ones to cast because either not enough people auditioned or like none of the people that auditioned I thought were right. That's one of the hardest things about casting. No, because whenever I cast most things, I usually it's a thing where you don't know until you know a lot of the time, like because you'll have an idea, but you won't know until you hear the right person. And there's one project I did where I think it took like 3 weeks, like after the deadline, to finally hear a person that I thought fit a female role or something like
Mhm.
that. And I was like, it's crazy. It really is. Like, just because it's one of those things where I'm like, I kind of like this person, but they're not exactly what I want. Like, it's like sometimes you just have to wait. That's the other problem. You have to
Yeah.
wait a long time.
And waiting definitely sucks too.
Waiting sucks even more like when you get a role and you do everything and then you have to wait a year. Or you have to wait like 7 months for
Oh
the thing
yeah.
to come out. That sucks too. Especially when you're not allowed to talk about it. That's the other thing.
Oh yeah. Oh my god. NDAs be like
I may have I've told like my dad before, but I tell him because I know for a fact he's not
yeah.
gonna fucking tell anyone. That's the thing.
I mean like my dad like doesn't use social media and is not a dick. Like imagine you told your dad about like, hey, I just got back from this audition, and your dad was like, that's so cool. I'm gonna go on my Facebook and tell everybody about it now.
See,
Despite you.
that's like, is it? I've always wondered, is it breaking NDA if they like? You can say like, oh, got a big audition, like you can say that, but you can't just bluntly say what it is. That's a problem.
Yeah, yeah, you just can't bluntly say what it is in like a public setting. I mean, like, I really doubt that anybody that makes me sign an NDA is making me like is saying just like, do not, I swear to God, don't tell your wife or kids.
Don't.
If you
don't
tell your wife
fucking
or
family.
children, we will kill you. We will hunt you down, and we will shove a sword through you.
The second the name of your character escapes your lips, we will shoot you. We have a sniper on you at all times.
We have a sniper on you if you say that you auditioned for SpongeBob.
Oh shit! Oh man. I mean, I've had friends who have told me like things that weren't NDA because they didn't end up doing it. I have a friend, he worked on has been in Helva. And I remember like not too long ago, he told me he got an opportunity to do animation for Space Jam 2.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah, no, but he had to turn it down.
Oh my god,
Yeah,
that
no,
sucks.
I don't remember why. I think he was busy with something else at the time. And I remember when he told me that, I was like, no, you could have been in Space Jam 2, dude.
You could have been a part of history.
I cannot wait for Space Jam 2. I just want the trailer. I really want to know what it's going to look like. Because all we know is it's still going to be traditionally animated, and Don Cheadle is the bad guy, and that's like all we know.
As much as I like the trailer where the camera is zooming past a bunch of still PNGs of the characters, I would like to see them move around and stuff.
I do like that at least they gave us a preview of what they were going to look like, but at the same time, I'm like, I didn't expect it to be a dramatic change in design. Like,
it definitely just feels like they ripped the design straight from the model sheets and just had them stand there.
It looked like they just took PNGs, like from the
yeah.
like the character refs or something. Cause
did you see that did you see that people were getting pissed about Lola Bunny not having sex appeal anymore for some reason?
Are you fucking did they I don't remember. I feel like if they showed her in the trailer, I don't remember it.
They showed her in the teaser. I don't even think I'd call that a trailer. It was just like a teaser of just all the characters.
I found an image of it.
And like her midriff isn't showing anymore, so people are like, the sex appeal is gone, the SJWs have won. I don't know what to do anymore. I think I'm just gonna end it.
I think something
like
something I found actually really interesting, because I hadn't seen Space Jam for like a few years, and when they re-released it in theaters for the 20th anniversary, you bet your fucking ass I went to go see it. I paid $20 to see Space Jam in theaters. But I kind of realized going back to that movie, Lola Bunny does nothing. Like, literally nothing.
She really doesn't. She just shows, like, she doesn't really add anything
she literally shows
to the
up.
cast
She has no introduction.
All.
She just shows up. I mean, she has an introduction, but it's not like, hey, this is Lola Bunny. She's my gal pal. Like, we don't get any of that. Like, it's literally
I'm sorry. I've been watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged recently, and that voice gave me like
Joey,
like PTSD. Yeah, I legitimately, I was just like, holy shit, like I know you're trying to do Bugs Bunny, but it just like
I can't do
my brain.
Bugs is really hard. Bugs is really hard to do. Like
the guy that's doing his voice now is like really similar to Mel Blanc.
Oh, Eric Bauza?
Yeah.
That's because Eric is fucking amazing, and I love him, and he's like one of my favorite people I've ever spoken to. I've interviewed him twice. Like,
you've interviewed him twice?
Yeah, I interviewed him before I even started this current podcast. I used to interview voice actors back in like 2014 to like 2015.
Holy shit!
I interviewed Eric like twice, because I love Eric. Eric is genuinely one of the nicest people I've ever spoken to, and it's so cool. It's so cool seeing how he's basically become like an A-list voice actor now since then. Because he was getting up there when he was getting up there as a voice actor when I interviewed him, but like now he's like fucking A rank. Like he's like a top tier voice actor in the industry now.
He's like living for voicing Bugs right now.
Well, and Daffy. He's Bugs, Daffy, Marvin, and Tweety.
What the fuck? How can one man have all that power?
Well, you say that, and then we think about Mel Blanc here.
Yeah, Mel, it's so crazy, like, that he is essentially just doing all of the same voices that Mel Blanc did.
Well, I mean, to be fair, a controversial opinion, and I think I've said this before, Mel Blanc didn't have that amazing of a range, in my opinion. He had a good range.
Not really.
He had a good range, but if you really go back to a lot of his characters, like 4 or 5 of them are just kind of the same voice.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right.
Like Sylvester and Daffy are just kind of the same voice. Foghorn and Yosemite, not that different from one another. Like the characters are different, but the voices aren't that diverse. Again, I'm not
Yeah,
saying he didn't have a good range. He did. I just think his range wasn't as amazing as I think everyone has said he has. Because I can think of
yeah,
other voice
agreed.
actors
Yeah.
that I think personally have better ranges. I think Frank Welker has a better range than Mel Blanc did.
I think definitely for the time it was pretty impressive.
Oh no, it was.
But I mean,
I think
given like the lengths that stuff go now,
I think it's also a thing of I can think of people back then that had like fucking amazing. Dawes Butler, the guy who played Yogi Bear, he was like 90% of Hanna-Barbera. Like the
oh
main
yeah,
he was like 90%. Like he was Yogi Bear, he was Huckleberry Hound, he was Snagglepuss, he was fucking Elroy Jetson, he was like he was so many fucking like huge fucking roles.
I like how all of those cartoon characters in the Hanna-Barbera age were just like a lot of them just felt like impressions of other things.
Well, yeah, they kind of were. Like a lot of them were just
You know what
impressions
I
of
mean?
other
Like,
people, or like. Well, Foghorn Leghorn,
especially
Foghorn Leghorn was an impression. It was an impression of a radio character at the time.
do you remember Jabberjaw?
Frank Welker, fucking. Like
Oh
doing
gee, I wonder what they were trying to get there. I wonder what voice they were trying to replicate.
Or Don Messick had a fucking amazing range for the time. Like Don Messick was Scooby Doo, he was Scrappy Doo, he was Johnny Quest's dad. Like
Wait, what?
Yeah, he was Benton Quest. He was Johnny Quest's dad.
I had no idea.
Yeah, what else? Like again, Scooby Doo and Scrappy are probably like two of the biggest ones. What? I'm trying to think. Oh, he was fucking. Oh, bring it full circle. He was Boo Boo. He was Boo Boo and Ranger Smith.
Damn,
Like
that's
and he
range.
was fucking Bam Bam on the Flintstones, and he was Muttley and Dick Dastardly, and he was Adam Ant. Like he was a lot of fucking characters with really distinct voices.
True.
And the guy was acting up until the late 90s when he died, because he was Hampton on Tiny Toons. It's like it's crazy to think how long some of those people did voiceover, because some of them John Stevenson, the guy who played Mr. Slate on the Flintstones, he was doing acting up until I think he was like 84 years old.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he retired in 2010. Like
I know the voice actress for Goku right now in Dragon Ball. I don't know how old she is, but it's pretty well known that she's like crazy old for the
the
work
actress,
that she does.
the Japanese actress or the English?
The Japanese actress.
Well, because doesn't she play Goku? Like she plays she plays Gohan and Goku, and doesn't she like play all the Goku related characters? I think.
Yes, I'm looking up her age right now. She's 84 years old.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah. And she does all the screams and stuff like that. Like that's crazy.
She's Goku, Gohan, Goten. Jesus Christ, Bardock.
I wonder what they're gonna do. Like, God forbid, obviously, but I wonder. Dragon Balls has become such a huge franchise. I'm wondering what they would, and they've never replaced her. Like she voiced Kid Goku, and then when Goku grew up, she still voiced him for some reason.
Well,
Like even in America, they switched up voice actors for that.
I remember when, because there was that whole thing about Brad Venable, that voice actor that passed away very, very recently. Before they had said who it was that had passed away, I was thinking, because they kept building up like it was this. It sounded like they were saying it was this big fucking person, and I thought
Chris Aries,
Chris Sabat.
oh, Chris Sabat.
I thought it
Okay.
was Chris Sabat or Chris Aries. And when I thought about Sabat, I went, fuck, that's going to be so many goddamn characters to replace.
Yeah.
Like, think about that. Like, not like, again, God forbid. Like, it's not even me saying, like, because I was just thinking at the time, like, if Chris Sabat, like, passed away, think about how many fucking Dragon Ball characters they'd have to replace.
like obviously I don't want to be like equating people's lives to the characters.
No.
Like
Like,
I just find it very interesting of a topic to discuss because Like a lot of like voice actors are obviously a talented bunch of people, and when they do their job right, they become that voice of that character
Yeah,
for a
it's
lot of
it's a legacy voice. That's
it's
what D Baker called it.
and that's why so many people care about like whenever there's a reboot if they get the original cast back or not. That's a big thing for people. That was a big problem with the Powerpuff Girls reboot. I still, for God's sakes, I still don't know why they didn't just get the original cast of the three
Why'd you get
girls. But
back like 90% of the cast
yeah,
except the leads? That's the thing I don't get.
it's bizarre to me, and I assume it's because they'd have to pay them more now that they're more well established actors. But I don't know. It just something about that was a little bit stinky. Yeah,
I
I will say like I'm glad that that reboot, like in a sense it's almost like a two-sided coin for me, because in a sense I'm actually glad that some smaller voice actors got to dip their feet into such like big well-known roles and like kind of get like some good resume work and stuff like that to for like future stuff, because I feel like that would definitely help them and give them a lot of credibility in other people's eyes, because God knows it's very hard to get established in an industry like this.
well, you know,
Uh,
I remember I think I tweeted like a year ago. I was like, I'm so happy that those actresses are actually starting to get more voiceover work, because I was just thinking like with the reputation that show had, I was just kind of thinking like, man, if those guys don't get work anymore, I'm gonna feel so bad for them if they can't get
I
like a voiceover work because of the stigma of that show.
I think the stigma really only came from like the writing, I believe, and like some of the background behind it. I don't think it came from the voiceover performances themselves. The only problem is that they didn't sound like the original show, which like in a vacuum, if you're looking at it as like a casting director and you're like looking at how the quality of the acting first and foremost, it's fine. But if you're looking at like did they voice mimic these characters? No, they obviously did not. They did their own thing.
Which, well,
So
that's the thing I always found even weirder, that they got a lot of the original cast back. I'm like, if you're gonna
yeah,
have the three main actresses do their own thing, why didn't you do that for the rest of the cast?
cast, yeah, recast everybody else then. Like I don't, they're not even like aged up versions of the girls. Like
No.
they're like the same ages. So like what's the point of recasting the three main characters but not anybody else? Like Tom Kenny came back for that.
Tom Kane, Tom Kenny, Jim Cummings, Roger Jackson, Jennifer Hale. They brought her back for Miss Keene, but they didn't bring her back for Princess Morbox, which is really fucking weird.
Yeah, that is very strange, especially when she's already on the cast. You
Well,
would think
yeah,
that that
she's
would be
already
like
on the
less people
show.
to hire. Like that's very weird. They made some they made some very strange decisions with that show, and I honestly at the end of the day I don't really care. I didn't watch it. I wasn't invested in it. But I don't know. I just think about it sometimes, and I'm like, what was the deal with that?
I was like, yeah, well, like, I do think a lot when, especially if it's someone who has a legacy voice, and not just a legacy voice, legacy voices, like on one thing. Because again,
Yeah,
I go back to Chris Sabat. How many fucking characters on Dragon Ball does he play? like, like fucking 13, 15 characters? Like, it's a ton of fucking characters. Because,
I don't know if you know this, but because Chris Harris had like problems
oh yeah,
with his
he's had
lung,
health problems for a bit.
which I feel so bad for him. He's such a talented and kind dude. Uh, but I think he got like, I think was it like one of his like relatives or siblings that did the voice for Frieza during Dragon Ball
Damon
Super's thing?
Mills, he was an understudy, took over for it,
Okay,
and
I
he
was gonna say because
was
I didn't
so
even recognize
fucking uncanny.
it.
Like,
It was crazy. I was like, I legitimately thought it was Chris Harris. I was like, did something happen? Did he just get better? And I was like, no. It was the same thing with he also played Frieza in Dragon Ball Fighters, and I also couldn't recognize that that wasn't Chris Aries. I was like, whoa, holy
well,
shit!
that's a thing they do for a lot of. I think it's because I think about this for a second, because I said how many people are they going to have to get, because when voice actors have notable characters, they have understudies. They, like, if it's a character that's famous enough, like, I can guarantee you 100% Tom Kenny has an understudy for SpongeBob. Like Tom Kenny probably has an understudy. Roger Bumpus and Clancy Brown have understudies for Squidward and Mr. Krabs. Like, if a character gets big enough, an actor will get an understudy if the actor is not able to perform the character anymore. But with someone who plays so many characters on one show, it makes me wonder, are you going to get one person or are you going to get multiple people?
I'm wondering, like, I've always wondered if SpongeBob outlasts its cast.
Oh, I've thought
like
that for
it
a
did.
long time. Like,
And same thing with The Simpsons,
oh,
especially. Like The Simpsons keeps going, and the voice actress for Marge is like, she sounds like whenever she voices Marge that she's dying.
oh yeah. Well, honestly, I also think Nancy Cartwright's been losing the Bart voice for years.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
I think she's horrendously lost the Bart voice.
and I don't want to like I don't want to make this about me like coming for the throat for voice actors or anything like that.
Like,
But
hire me as
I just find
Marge. See?
I just find I find the topic of voice actors kind of like growing out of roles, or like not being able to do them anymore for whatever reason, very interesting.
Well, it's
You know,
Well, I was actually talking about this last night with some friends because Peter Cullen, I've noticed they've been kind of weaning him out of Optimus Prime the past couple years. Because in the last like 3 years, he's only done it twice. So I've been kind of wondering if they're trying to slowly edge him out of the role, because there's been this new guy who's been doing it for the past 3 years. It's been in more projects than he has. And Peter Cullen's 80 years old. He's not going to be able to do Optimus for the rest of his life. Like, that's the problem. Because there's that. Frank Welker's not going to be... I feel like Frank Welker's not going to be able to do Fred from Scooby-Doo for a long time. Like, I give it maybe like 10 more years. He probably will ease out of the role. Same with Scooby-Doo. It's going to be probably another actor.
definitely, yeah.
Well, it's like you think about...
I feel like for a lot of iconic voices, though, at this point, there's so many people that can do impressions of them. Like you think about the guy who used to voice Cleveland.
I was just thinking that. I was just
Where they
thinking
literally got an impressionist from YouTube. I think that might just be the new thing that is done for a lot of this sort of stuff, if I'm being honest, because it worked. I can't tell the difference.
Yeah, no, I was wondering, because when I saw they got someone else, I was like, so are they gonna try to do a new thing with the voice? Like I didn't know what they were gonna do. I thought they were gonna like completely change the voice for Cleveland, and I heard the guy was like, oh no, he's just doing a straight impression of Mike Henry, and it's so remarkably close that I can't even like tell the difference.
And then, like, compare that to The Simpsons, where who did they recast on The Simpsons? It was
Russie Taylor, because she passed away recently.
Oh no, not her. I was actually going to say what was the name, because I was mirroring the Cleveland thing. Lenny and what's his name?
Oh, well, Harry Shearer didn't leave.
Oh, he just stopped voicing certain characters.
He did, yeah, he did for a period.
Because I know, like, it's a big thing on Twitter for a bit about, how people, like voice actors, like black voice actors in the voice acting community, weren't being casted as much as like white voice actors for like stuff like black characters and stuff like that.
That was during the summer when the protests were going on. Like, a lot of people were talking about that.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, the thing that people reasoned was, it's not that everybody, like, for example, and I think that this was something that was brought up by the voice actor for Samurai Jack, was like, the problem is that it's not that white people are playing characters that aren't white. It's that there's like pretty much all major voice actors are white, like and that there's not enough diversity in casting in general.
Well, yeah, and that's been the case for pretty much since voiceover began. That's been the case. Like,
and it fucking sucks.
Well, and it also doesn't help that when voiceover started, we were in a not great period for not white actors. So
Yeah.
that was kind of the other thing. Like, I think one of the few times I can think of a black actor actually playing a character was in Dumbo. That's like one of the earliest examples I can think of was black actors playing the crows.
The that I the only reason I really brought that up because I feel like uh I'm not the type of person, or I mean, not the type of person, but I'm not a person I feel should be talking about this sort of subject matter because it's not like I'm in a position of privilege
Well,
with
yeah,
like,
it's the fear because we're both white. It's the
yeah,
kind
I
of
feel like
thing.
I shouldn't have a presence on this topic. I just wanted to bring it up because uh it was that whole movement for a bit was actually the reason that a lot of these characters ended up getting replaced.
Well, that's because it
Uh
was Cleveland. The main girl on was it Central Park? Was that
yeah,
the
Central
Bob's
Park.
Burgers guy that made that?
Yes.
One of the characters on Big Mouth, I believe, left, or the
They did a
actress.
pretty seamless transition actually with that character, which I found really interesting. They integrated it into like her character arc for the season. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh my gosh, he watches Big Mouth," but like I don't know. I think Big Mouth's fine. It's not the best show in the world, but like it exists and sometimes it makes me laugh. And I know that's stupid, but
I
it
want to
does.
say there was one other, but I can't remember. I want to say there was like one other. Oh yeah, the guy who plays. Yeah, we just talked about The Simpsons. The guy who plays Carl.
Yes. Carl, that was the name
Yeah,
of the
he left
character.
because you said Lenny, and I was confused. I was like, wait, Harry Shearer didn't leave.
And
I was
Carl.
like,
I was trying to jog my brain because I know Lenny and Carl
well,
like always hang out.
because Apu's been removed. Period. If I remember correctly.
Like they're not even recasting him at all.
If I recall, I think they just got rid of Apu. Period. Like I don't think they're using the character anymore.
Okay, that's interesting. That's an interesting way to take it. I would think that they would try to like reinvent him or something like that. But again, it's one of those things where like I don't think I have a right to have a stance on it. So I don't. I'm more interested in other people's opinions on it anyway. It's
Yeah.
just this sort of stuff is just very interesting topic, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
Uh, with how we're all getting kind of like more. I don't want to say the word woke because it sounds so fucking sarcastic. But like in a sense, like I'm actually like super glad that more people are having discussions about this type of stuff.
Well, yeah, no, I do agree. I think it is really cool to see more diversity. I mean, I guess it's such a touchy fucking thing to talk about.
Like I said earlier, like the voice Phil Lamar, who I'm a huge fan of, people kept using him as like an example of like the opposite, where it's just like, well, like yeah, like there's still like big black voice actors that voice non-black characters, and he was just like, can you not drag me into this for God's sake? Like he literally made a tweet. He was like, do not, for God's sake, like keep it amongst yourselves. Don't bring me into this shit. Uh, but yeah, speaking of Phil Lamar. I fucking love Phil Lamar. I met him once at a convention. He was very cool.
I've heard he's really, really nice. I mean, I'd believe it. Every interview I've ever seen with him, he seems really, really nice. There's been people I've literally watched like one interview with them, and I'm like, I want them on this podcast. Like literally just an interview with them, and I'm like, they seem like a fun person.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have been trying to find contact information for the guy who played Skeeter on Doug.
Yeah.
I literally watched one interview with him and I went, that guy seems like so much fun. I want to talk to him. Well, he's I remember on Game Grumps they talked about mouth noises guy. I don't know if you remember that. There was this bit where Danny talked about a book he used to have where it would like teach you how to make mouth noises, and the guy who played Skeeter was mouth noise guy for the guy that wrote that book.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, he does ADR for movies. That's his whole job. He does animal noises and ADR for like sound effects if they need them, and he just does them with his voice, and it's fucking crazy watching him do it.
Interesting.
But anyway, I gotta say, thank you so much for doing this. This was a lot of fun. It's like,
Oh yeah, shit. It's almost been like 2 hours.
yeah, it's been almost 2 hours since we started this. I was like, do you
Holy
have
shit.
anything you want to promote? Anything at all?
Sub to YouTube. All right, bye.